Yes, what I want to do today is talk about really the consumer side. It's where I've spent most of my last 10, 15 years and working on marketing, consumer behavior, and it's just been a fascinating journey for me to discover more and more of the research that's been outside our industry and bring that to the utility and energy field. And there's a lot to know and a lot to learn there. So when we talk about energy, we often focus, you see articles in the newspaper about mostly supply side stuff. You know, solar building skins and fracking, carbon sequestration, clean coal, all these kinds of things. So what's the next big thing on the consumer side? I think we've already seen it. You guys may be familiar with it. It's the Miracle Amish fireplace. This is what we get, right? This is a full-page ad in USA Today. This is a space heater in a wooden box. Where do we come from? How do we get interest of the consumer on the demand side? And I was listening to your panel there, and it's fascinating to talk about 5-tiered rates and things like that. And consumers love that kind of stuff. But they love our end product. They absolutely adore electricity. They love electricity. They love plugging their stuff in. They love their iPads. There's this air conditioner. You can go to Home Depot, buy an air conditioner to keep you cool on a 100-degree day for $100. $100. What a wonderful product that we do. And we're invisible. We've done such a good job of creating a reliable system with cheap energy that we become invisible. So how do we make ourselves visible again? And we did this big survey, eSource did, across the United States with Nielsen. We looked at really 30,000 residential end users. And I asked for a scatter plot of gadgets. And I define gadgets as anything that kind of plugs in that deals with computers and entertainment. So smartphones, TVs, game consoles, DVRs, laptops, all those kinds of things. And what's kind of remarkable is there's no trend line by age here. You would think, oh, well, the younger people got a lot more connected. Everybody's connected, right? And 20 to 30 gadgets is the sweet spot until you're about 82, and then they take all your stuff away. So beware, when you get to be that age, if someone walks in and takes your iPod, they're going to take everything else too, all right? So now the panel talked about how we have some challenges. Unfortunately, we're not that smart. Anybody know what this picture is about? Good old Bill McDonough says, it took us 80 years to figure out to put wheels on luggage. 80 years. We had wheels, we had luggage. Someone said, why don't we put some on there? Wow. Now you can't find luggage without wheels. So it turns out that we make a lot of mistakes as designers, so we can always improve where we're going with this. So as we go on, we have lots of distractions in our lives, right? And I love this picture because when people want their lattes, they're willing to stand in a freeway to wait for it. All oblivious because they're on their iPads and they're all texting each other. And now people ask, well, Bill, how do you know this stuff works? How do you know? Well, there's a pretty good market for bottled water. This is water that's been proven not to have any higher quality than the stuff that comes out of your faucet. They put it in bottles. It sits on the shelf in that bottle for months usually. And they're called really cool names, Dasani and Aquafina. Who owns Dasani? Coca-Cola and Aquafina. There you go. You're just buying from the same companies you're buying all your beverages from for a cost of about 4.5 times what you pay for gasoline to put into your car. Nicely done, folks. Who in here uses any bottled water at all now? So a few of you do, but there's now a movement to get away from bottled water because of all these realities. They sell like crazy, all right? So now we have to deal with the customers. Right? These two guys were the same ones that were in their SUVs going around and around, waiting for a parking place so they could go up the escalator and then use the Stairmaster in the gym. Go figure. Consumers don't act normal. That's normal for them, is to not act normal. They're irrational. So how do you deal with that irrationality? And then we've got this big area of behavior change. And I'm probably going to spend the bulk of the rest of my time on behavior change. But this is utilizing this irrationality they talked about, because people tend to act in certain ways because of their social and business norms. And we have a whole bunch of different programs that are being tested in the marketplace right now, many of which are going to be enhanced with smart meter data to a great extent, that still need to be experimented with, and I'm seeing a lot of progress here in the utility business. I'm very excited about behavior change potential. Now let's go kind of back to the beginning. What do I mean by these social marketing behavior change programs? Who remembers really one of the first national social marketing campaigns, which was about littering, the Crying Indian? Who remembers that? So almost all of you, even people who were too young to see that ad in person, Iron Eyes Cody, and right at the end, remember what had that tear coming down because he saw all the pollution, right? But this was back when littering was the way of life. You were driving down the highway, right? And what'd you do with your wrapper? You threw it out the window. It wasn't bad. No one yelled at you for doing that. That was the norm. And you figured that either someone would pick it up or it would blow off into Kansas if you lived in Colorado. Well, this is all, remember, we didn't have seat belts in the car, right? The seat belt was your mom, because you're in the front seat. You know, me and my sister would sit in the front seat, no seat belts, and so your mom would put her arm out, remember that part? And then you get burned by the cigarette, so... or the bourbon would spill on you, one or the other, but that was the reality, that was normal. So then I get to the social norms, all right? So I use this picture because I'm from Boulder, and if you were just one person in Tennessee wearing a pink lycra skin suit, that would not go over very well. But in Boulder, these guys are in packs. They go into Whole Foods. They're pushing their cars. Click, click, click on your left. You know, this kind of thing. And so you see this. So what happens is when we're in groups, we act like other people in the group. We don't. If you research this, if you ask people why they did something, they're going to give you some pseudo-rational reason for making a decision. That's not the reason they did it. They were influenced by their peer group. Almost always, this becomes a more powerful influence than all the information you could possibly load into their heads. So use this to our advantage. So recycling is a great example of how, over time, we got people used to the concept of not throwing everything away. It's inconvenient to recycle. Remember that, it's inconvenient. But people do it for the good of the environment. Now, it helps that it's visible. So a lot of the energy efficiency stuff is invisible, which is a problem, makes it a little bit harder. But the other thing that happened was the kids were told to go tell their parents to recycle. All right? How many of you have been browbeaten by your kids over some social thing like polar bears? Right? They do it, and they're good at it, and they don't have anything else to do but keep bothering you until you change your behavior. Right? It happens, right? And so the other thing we want to do is we want to make it easy. We want to give people prompts. So the yellow top is a prompt to not throw trash in that can. So as we kind of look at what some of my main points here are, is that we have this huge opportunity to communicate with our customers. And we tend to be highly technical with the way they do that instead of very consumer friendly. And we're not utilizing all the tools at our disposal from the social norms side to make the biggest effects possible. So my main storyline here is embrace the consumer's irrationality. Don't get frustrated with it. Learn how to work around that irrationality with the social norms, because this is why people act the way they do. So thank you so much for your attention. Enjoy the rest of the conference.